So my name is Sydney Pittman. I serve as the Central Mississippi Admissions Counselor for Mississippi University for Women, better known as the W. And so, of course, the W was founded in 1884. Of course, we became coeducational in 1982, offering everything that we have here to our guides as well. So we are a 4-year public university. We're more so of a, and it just went out of my head here, liberal arts university. So we focus on a lot of our health science courses or majors. Of course, business is one of our top areas as well. And then we are the only 4-year institution with a culinary arts program within the state.
Yes.
So that's just a little bit about the W as an introduction. So yes.
What is the enrollment now?
As far as enrollment, what do you mean?
Like how many students?
So currently we have a little bit over 3,000 students.
Okay.
Of course, we do have a larger population that is commuter, but we're trying to expand what we have on campus here now.
Okay, so definitely kind of the smaller campus feel if a student is looking for that environment.
Absolutely, the community-like style. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if a student's interested, what does the admissions application look like? Is there a date that the application opens and it's like the big holiday around the admissions office with the application opening? Is there, an application priority deadline? Can you walk me through that process?
Sure. So for our application, we do have a free application online for students to apply, or if we have students who may come in and they decide that they want to apply here on campus, we do have paper applications for them to complete as well. Again, it is free for them. Once they submit their applications, we ask for them to, of course, submit required documents. Transcripts, of course, would need to come from either the university that they are currently at, or the high school that they are at as well, but it needs to come from the high school counselor or a school official. From that point, we, of course, we push for them to go ahead and submit their FAFSA. So that way they'll know exactly what they have available. Now, as far as for our admissions application, it is a rolling application. So meaning that it is continuous. So, it's open for students to go ahead and apply. If we have students that are interested in applying now that are rising seniors, they are welcome to go ahead and put their application in. And then we do have the application live for the 2022-23 school year.
Okay. And then is an ACT required, or has the W been test optional the last year?
So we have, or where we currently are now, we do not require ACT. I'm not sure at this moment if that is something that will eventually revert back to pre-COVID terms. But as of right now, it's not mandatory for students to submit an ACT score. However, those who are interested in scholarships or financial aid here, they do need to submit an ACT score to us.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then with the admissions, and then this will transition our conversation into scholarships, the ACT scores that are submitted, is the highest composite that's used, or are you super scoring?
So we do super score here in the Office of Admissions. Students who have taken the ACT multiple times are more than welcome to submit all ACT scores. And then from that period, then we will use those super scores to combine and make a new ACT score for them. And if they meet those requirements for scholarships, then we will go ahead and apply that to their account. So
okay, so it's used for scholarships as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. That's what students want to hear. They want the highest scores possible going for those scholarships. Yeah. Is there a set ACT score in GPA that gets them guaranteed academic scholarship money? Is there somewhere they need to strive to be?
Yes. So as far as for general admissions, for those students who, and just kind of want to touch base on all of it here, for those students who are seeking admissions, we ask that if you do submit an ACT score, we ask for a minimum of a 16 and a 2.5 GPA. Students who are interested in scholarships, we ask for an 18 minimum and a 3.0 GPA, or a 20 on the ACT and a 2.75 GPA.
Okay. Okay, that's actually pretty good. A lot of students in Mississippi would be able to reach that ACT score
Yeah.
and GPA level. So
Yes,
that's
and
awesome.
especially with the super scores now, you
Oh,
know, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Um, so with that, is there a separate scholarship application required for students to complete, or is their admissions application what gets them their academic scholarships?
So pretty much the admissions applications is what gets them their scholarships. Once they submit those ACT scores, and then we see their the ACT scores and GPA, and then for transfer students, we ask for a minimum of a 24 transferable hours. That will determine their scholarship range.
Okay.
One of the unique things about the W, and this is something that is not really heard or known of, is that pretty much the ACT requirements are rolling as well. So we have a cutoff date set for August 20th of every year.
For ACT scores to be submitted. Okay.
For them to be eligible for scholarship. So if they are, of course, we'll accept the highest score up until that date, which is August 20th. And then once we get all of their documents in, then of course that will determine what ACT they will.
So they could be like literally moving into campus and submit a new ACT score to you right before classes start and get an updated scholarship award.
Absolutely.
That's
now,
really good.
Students, and I do want to touch on this too, those students who are honors, so meaning that for students who have a 24 on the ACT or higher, those students are invited to interview for an honors scholarship.
Okay.
Once they have submitted all of their paperwork, then they'll go through their interview, and then they should hear something back within a 2 to 3 week period. So we ask for those students who have a 24 or higher to go ahead and submit their ACT scores early, because we have interviews between November, or we have one in November and one in February.
Okay.
And so once that February date has passed, then the interviews have ceased from that point.
Okay. And so if they want to take advantage of all the competitive scholarships, they need to get that in early.
Absolutely.
Okay. Did you mention if there was a deadline for that, like application on anything else? Like that's not the ACT. Is there a separate application for other scholarships? And if so, is there a deadline?
Okay. So as far as for honors, we do ask for them to go ahead and submit ACT scores early, so that way we can go ahead and contact those students who fit within that frame, or fit within those requirements. As far as for additional scholarships that we offer here, we do offer departmental scholarships, so it's based on that department. So of course, once they come for college tours, once they reach out to the Office of Admissions, then we can put them in contact with someone from that department, so they can tell them a little bit more about those scholarships that we have and any deadlines that are for their scholarships.
So for just general admission scholarships, they can apply, get admitted, submit those scores with that process, and then they get an award letter back to them at any point really throughout the year. It's kind of a rolling process.
Yes.
That makes it really easy for them.
Yes.
And then I also was surprised to hear that transfer students can transfer with 24 hours and get a scholarship. They always can transfer at that point, but to hear a scholarship being available at only 24 hours, that's pretty unique.
Absolutely. And especially considering that we are a transfer friendly university, which is something that most people do not know. So meaning that, in most cases where students will come from Hines or Holmes, most of their classes will transfer over, versus like some of the other universities may not take something and then they have to retake those classes. So it definitely serves as an asset for our transfer students here.
Yeah, that's awesome. In another realm of financial aid, we've talked about scholarships, but with the FAFSA, is it required to be completed by all students? And if there is any kind of priority date for FAFSA, can you share that with me?
Yes, so we do have, as far as for the FAFSA, go back and make sure. Repeat your question again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. I asked two at one time, which was probably my fault.
Okay.
Do you require the FAFSA for scholarships? So do you require FAFSA on file so that scholarships can be awarded? And then is there a priority date for FAFSA completion to have submitted?
So as far as for scholarships, if students are interested in scholarships, yes, they do need to complete FAFSA. If not, it is not required for them to do so. And then as far as for the priority date, we don't necessarily have one set in stone, but we try to, or we ask for students to be sure that they have it completed at least by July 30th. So that way, once August hits and then, it's time to come into the university, then we will have that on file for them as well.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's still pretty easy for students to do, as long as it's not like a early priority.
Yeah.
Another thing that we get asked often, and I'm sure high school counselors and their teachers do as well, housing. Students are really concerned about housing. So how does it work? Do they only get to apply after they've been admitted? Is there a certain date that the housing application just opens for everyone? Is it first come, first serve? Will you walk me through that?
Yeah, sure. So as far as housing, the housing application launches in October 1. So any student is welcome to apply for housing, especially if they are set in stone that they are coming to the W. So we ask that they go ahead and get that in as soon as possible. Of course, now that COVID is here, housing has not been as competitive. So, those students who apply, we do still have room for other students who are interested, but, which is the reason why we say go ahead and get it in, because pre-COVID, housing was very tight. It's very limited for students. So they do have access to the application online once they apply. And then as far as for making sure that everything is in for them, there is a deadline for cancellation. So if students decide that they may not attend the W, or that they decide that they want to live off campus, we ask that they go ahead and take care of that by June 1st. So that way there's no cancellation fees that are applied to their student account.
Okay. And you said as soon as they apply, if it's after October 1st, they can do it. So a student that's not technically admitted could go ahead and do their housing application.
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned it already, but I want to move into kind of like the academic discussion. You mentioned y'all have a culinary arts program, which are the only university in the state that has that. I remember telling students about that when I was on the admissions recruiting trail years ago. People wanted that, I would send them right your way. Any other unique programs or new programs that may be coming to campus, new areas of study?
So as of today, we do not have anything that is new for the upcoming school term. However, as far as our unique programs, of course, culinary is one. Nursing, we have the top nursing program within the state, and we fall within the top 5 within the Southeastern region. So those two, of course, we now have a School of Education. And so that is one of our additional, or in addition to those two, that is another top area that we have a lot of students that will come in for. Business administration, anything that falls under kinesiology, health and kinesiology, those are our top areas as well. So I did want to touch base on that. And then as far as one of our other programs that we offer, our history department. So a lot of students do not know, but we do have a lump sum of money that is waiting for students who are interested in history to apply, and they can apply for those scholarships, which will, of course, take care of most of their tuition here at the W.
Okay. So all history majors need to be paying attention right now.
Yes, if you're interested in history, definitely reach out to us so we can speak with you and get you in contact with their department.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Another thing, we were talking about it before we actually started the conversation. It's been a weird year with COVID, and campuses have been shut down and on and off. It's been just different. So with students coming back to campus, I'm assuming it's more of an on-campus experience this fall, more of the traditional campus feel. What are some things that the W has in place just to help students as they transition to college life? Counseling services, writing centers, tutoring services. What are some of those things that are in place to help students succeed that are outside of the classroom?
So of course, we do offer tutoring services through our Student Success Center here on campus. We do offer face-to-face tutoring as well as virtual tutoring as well. So that is one. We do also have student success navigators that are in place to guide those students through their academic programs that they're currently in. If they decide that they want to switch, they are there to kind of guide them and tell them which way to go from there. In addition to that, as far as for our tutoring services, we do have a tutoring, online tutoring service that is available to students 24/7. So if by chance, if they're working off campus and they get off late at night, then they do still have someone that is accessible to assist them in any major or any class that they are taking here.
Okay. Wish I would have had that in college.
I know. And so just to add on to that, we do also have our counseling services. So we have licensed therapists and licensed counselors here on campus at our counseling center. And then of course, we do have our campus health center, which gives free access or free healthcare to our students and faculty members here on campus. Just trying to make sure I'm not missing anything, but yes. So those are our current things that we have. Now, as far as with housing, of course, COVID, I highly doubt if it goes anywhere or goes away completely, but we do have it set up to where we have one of our residence halls that serves as a quarantine spot for our students. And so there is one floor that is completely blocked off for them. And then we do offer student services where some of our faculty members will go and pick up any necessities that they need, groceries, medications, things of that nature. So we do have that service available to them as well.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. That'll probably give a lot of parents ease of mind knowing that their child will be taken care of. Is there anything else that you would share, with high school counselors, or this might be used in, college and career readiness classes, or just with high schoolers that may see it on YouTube? Just anything that you want to share about the school environment, student life, anything?
So of course, one of the things that I don't want to say it's a touchy subject, but I do want to kind of shine the light on our guys here that we have at the W. And so a lot of people see the name Mississippi University for Women and they run. And so, of course, I do want to let them know that we do have a 20/80 male to female ratio here on campus. We are striving every day to grow that population here because we want that inclusiveness for both our ladies and our guys here. In addition to that, our athletics program. So we do have an athletics program. We have 8 male sports and 9 female sports. And so for those students who are interested or who may be currently active in any in any athletic program that they have at their high school, to definitely look into us. We are a Division III school here. And so we do have a lot of things to offer to students here as well. In addition to that, and this was something that I mentioned earlier about our #1 nursing program here within the state. So of course, for those students, we do have a very competitive nursing program. However, we do offer the community-like feel here for students to excel. We want to make sure that they excel through that program and just throughout life. The W, I will say, as a former alum as well, we are very focused on leadership and networking. So it is something that will help those students after graduation, being able to network and connect with other people. So once we start looking at jobs, once we start looking at careers, or just even working throughout the community, you have someone that is there to support you.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of that perfect little size campus for someone that wants a little bit smaller campus, but not too small. It's big enough you could probably meet somebody new every day, but it's not so big you feel like you get lost in the crowd. So. Okay, thank you so much for taking time with us today.
Well, thank you, Lauren, and I hope to see you soon.